Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. We are here for Survivor 1 through 50, Episode 8, all about Survivor All-Stars. Jonathan, Drew, Shane, and I are here to talk about the first ever returning player season in Survivor history. And oh boy, did it live up to expectations or was it a complete disappointment? We will talk about that. So yeah, what are your guys' impressions of All-Stars? Why did you want to discuss All-Stars?
Anyone want to go first?
All-Stars is, I remember when it aired, and I was like, this is the greatest thing that I've ever seen. Like, just in a bubble, 13, 14 years old at that point. It's like, this is amazing because it's all my favorites, and like that Rob guy is back, and this, that, and the other. And then every subsequent time I've watched the season, and I've watched the season a lot, sadly. It's like, wow, this is really bad. This is, for me, it's my least favorite of all the returnee seasons. So like worse than Game Changers, and I think it's because there's so much mess involved in this, and we'll touch on the mess. But like, you have all these inflated egos, all these people that are best friends. And they come out and think they're going to be playing Friend Viber for people from org and or LG community. Yes. And they realize very quickly that ain't the game that the runner-up and the winner are playing. So,
right. True.
Yeah. I really wanted to talk about this because I love returning player seasons because I just think it brings such an interesting dynamic. Like, how do past relationships come into play? Like, how do people's reputations come into play? And like, I like seeing how people change and adapt. Obviously, it's not like the best returning player season, but if you look back, like, from the first 8 seasons, you do have some of the biggest names that had to be there, but I just feel like maybe they shouldn't have done All-Stars at season 8 because there weren't quite enough. Because this is, and with this one too, it kind of sets the trend for something we've seen in almost all of the returning player seasons, where an under-the-radar woman that arguably shouldn't have been on the cast ends up winning or going far.
Right. Yeah, this is why like people are always claiming that type of player is going to win these seasons.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, your thoughts? Why did you want to discuss All-Stars?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it because obviously it's the first ever returning player season. This is the 8th season I've watched, so I'm continuing my chronological order of the seasons. But for me, I think it was more of like the symbolism of the event than the actual like results of like how it impacted things, because we were talking about how they could have just said like, no, we're never doing another returning player season again because of how poorly this was received. And well, thank God they didn't follow that advice and they decided to do it bigger and better later.
Right.
I think it was more interesting to talk about because of just, it's the first time they brought players back, and looking at the list at the time, it's not technically a bad list of players to bring back for the most part. I'm sure we could have like swapped certain people from here, and we'll go into that. But to me, it was just more about how iconic, like the impact of how it was at the time, more about than the end results of what it would become.
Right. Yeah, I used to like watched this season a little bit more than I probably should have when I first started watching. I used to be a huge Boston Rob fan, and now obviously as I've gotten older, I've kind of been like, Boston Rob isn't that great.
Yeah, I had the same feelings because I loved him in Redemption Island. I was happy he won that, and then after, like, I was like, we don't need this anymore.
Yeah, and like I used to be a huge Colby fan, and just like how times change. But yeah, let's get into it with the casting and the snubs and the people who declined, did not get chosen. So everything I have here. So Colleen and Elizabeth Hasselbeck, the producers really wanted both of them. They both declined. I mean, Colleen wanted to do The Animal with Rob Schneider instead, and Elizabeth Hasselbeck went on to The View. So yeah, was not going to happen. Sandra declined due to Parasites. So Sandra was originally going to be back as well. Nalia from Marquesas, I just saw when I looked this up, was not chosen. She was in the mix. Heidi from Amazon declined per Jenna Maraska. Sean Rector was not chosen. That was a huge mistake. Roger and Mike Scoopin were not chosen. Thankfully, we didn't get more Scoopin. Kelly Goldsmith was apparently an alternate for Jenna Maraska. I did not know that. I know Kelly Goldsmith has had like a cult following, especially recently. And then T-Bird was cut and replaced by Tina. I mean, kind of that archetype. And then Jervis was not chosen. That is actually a shock, again, because Jervis was such like an icon from Borneo that it's shocking that he didn't come back earlier. And then Brian Heidick wanted an appearance fee, and producers refused to give Brian his money because they did not want him. So yeah, I mean, thoughts on this, thoughts on snubs or people they should have cast from the first 7 seasons?
I mean, if you're going to cast all of the winners, or at least have them, there's one name that you just didn't say there, and not because you didn't choose to. It's because Survivor just refuses to acknowledge that Giuseppe exists. Did I want her for All Stars? Probably not. But if you're going to have every other winner in the mix, then something's up. Sean Rector, one of the biggest characters from the first 7 seasons of the show. We'd rather have whoever. We'd rather have who's
Amber.
Yeah. It's in the, as far as archetypes with Tina compared to T-Bird, it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, you want Colleen, Elizabeth, Jenna, and Heidi, who all kind of fall into the same archetype, like America's Sweethearts and then the hot ones or whatever.
Yeah.
You want all of these people. So it's very hypocritical and contradictory how they did a lot of the casting, because none of it actually makes any sense. They just like to use these buzzwords so that it makes sense to them, but it's not the case.
And it's crazy because there's some of these players, it's like, okay, it makes sense if some of them like turned down, like they were asked and they would have been on if they said yes. But some of these other ones, they just didn't even like choose them. It's like they didn't even have a say in if they wanted to do it or not. Like maybe Sean would have said yes, that he would have come back to do it. They just probably didn't ask him, or they did just to get some result from him, but they just ultimately decided not to.
Right.
And this is definitely the first season of returning players where I think they would continue this process of like, this is going to carry on for the next 25 years of us being like, why didn't this person get on and this person didn't? And it being like, well, because the powers that be at CBS were like, no, we don't want this person. We want this person. It's not because they didn't say yes or no. It's because we just didn't ask them. So,
Yeah, I'm also a little surprised, like from Thailand, they didn't ask Helen, because Helen, I feel like would have been a good representative from there. But I guess also could fit that like older woman archetype if they didn't want too many of them. Fair Play's another one. Like I feel like he should have been in the mix. And I would not want this person, but given how much Jeff likes him now, I'm a little surprised I didn't ask him. Andrew Savage.
Yeah, Jeff wanted a lot of his man candy on the season with Colby and Boston Rob, so Andrew Savage not being there is a shock.
I think this was definitely a season where I feel like he kind of traded Colby for Boston Rob.
Yeah.
He was like, he literally smiles at Rob, like when Rob like gives away the letters. He's like, "You can do whatever you want, Rob." Like I'm like, this is so like, I was like, and he sure did the whole season. So
we're gonna get to the car award later, where Jeff can't wait to get in the front seat with Rob. So, all right. I mean, I think Sean Rector would have been on my list of the returnees. I mean, it would have taken Sean over Big Tom if you're gonna remove a male and put another one in. Especially because of what we got from Big Tom this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would have been cool. It would have been cool if possible to have a tribe of winners, because then you're not going to have the issue. I think Tina even talked about it a little bit with Shane and I and her what if of like she had told Mark Burnett to cast a tribe of all winners or else they're doomed. And like Mark Burnett obviously didn't cast enough winners and they were screwed. So like, I don't know. Otherwise, I mean, if you cast like 4 of them and you included Rob Cisternino because he's like the best to never win, like I think the audience would have been okay with that if you just stuck Rob on a tribe with the winners, because at least I don't think he would have been as screwed over if he's with people like of his caliber either.
Yeah. Him and Lex with the 4 winners that we got, and I feel or him and Colby. But either way, you're now in a situation where you don't have Jenna Lewis like on that war path of let's get rid of all the big names and winners before the merge. You guys have had your time. I want to be the next big thing. And maybe she will be in next year.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm wondering how it's going to go. Obviously now we can bring it up. Obviously 50 just announced that we are getting Jenna Lewis and Colby back. So it's really interesting now, the first returning season, we get to bring that up. And I guess like going in, I mean, Jenna Lewis's legacy, because I know we'll get to Colby more later in Heroes versus Villains, but with that. But I guess Jenna Lewis's legacy, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Because like, as we brought up, she's here targeting all the winners. She's playing a little bit harder, but she is also a big reason why Amber and Boston Rob succeed. And so, I mean, what do we think of her legacy going through coming up for 50?
Yeah, at first, before I did this most recent rewatch, I'm like, she wasn't really that good here. Like, she was lippy, annoying, just got dragged to the end. On a rewatch, there was definitely some strategic thinking. It wasn't necessarily the best strategy, but she was at least strategic and a bit cutthroat for her era. So, you know, I could definitely see her coming in and trying to play 50 really hard and maybe getting some traction. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Drew, Jonathan?
There's this looming dark, not including like actual dark clouds. There's this looming dark cloud hanging over this season. There's the fact that everyone's afraid of rocks. I don't want to draw the rock because Marquesas, you know, had just happened. And then there's also everyone trying to fix what happened their last time around. And Jenna is talking about, oh, yeah, you know, I was on the Gong tribe and this, that, and the other, and I got to fix this. And I do feel like after this season, her story is something that I would like to see in 50, like the bookend of being on the Pagong tribe, which is in all Survivor fans' lexicon, going to All Stars and being the actual villain of the season. Like people like to demonize Rob and Amber or whatever. They weren't really doing anything wrong. And Jenna wasn't doing anything wrong, but she was she's antagonizing Sheehan for long portions of the game. And it's just like, yeah, but she's a fun villain in a season of large personalities and big egos. She's a fun game villain. So I'm interested to see at 47, 48 years old how that may have changed at this point.
Agreed. Jonathan?
Yeah, I think with Jenna is because when I watched this at the time, like she kind of like really frustrated me the whole season just because of the whole fact of like it seemed she was just there to assist Rob and Amber's game when every other player was being like, well, actually they didn't do this until they got literally down to the final 6, but it was like it becomes very predictable, like who's getting voted out, where this route is going, and then you get to with Jenna, and it seemed like it was just really frustrating to watch. And of course, she's being antagonistic. I do like that she is more of a villain character because she's just so like headstrong with going after certain people. And at the time, it was just like stay away from my favorite character, leave him alone, or something like that. And then, but then it's just very like, it just drove me crazy seeing her like just letting like helping Rob and Amber. It's like, they're going to get rid of you at some point, right? But then I'm just going to let it happen. And I think one of my biggest gameplay pet peeves is players that just don't care about winning. They're just there to assist other people. And if you're on the receiving end of that, it sucks because it's like they clearly don't want to win, maybe, but like you want to win and you're getting screwed over by someone who doesn't want to win. They're just there to help someone else. And it's like, but she could just blow all that out of water for 50 and go on a tear. And so I'm still holding strong for 50. I think it can work. And I'm excited to see what she brings to the table again. She plays hard though, which is good. And I appreciate that more now than I did back then.
Yeah, for Jenna, like she is like the antagonist of this season. And for me, I do think she's going to come into 50 and still have the mentality of want to get rid of some of the big names, some of the winners, or both the winners. Like I think she's going to be really thumping for that and really going for that. I do see maybe in 50 that she's going to try that again, and then people are going to be like, okay, she's very anti-winner, very anti-big player, so let's just get rid of her. Mm-hmm. So it could very well turn against her in 50. Yeah. Let's move on to the actual cast now. So we have our starting tribes. We have Shapira, we have Mogo Mogo, and we have Saboga. I guess thoughts on how the tribes are laid out here and who is actually on the cast.
Yeah, I would say it's weird to me that like Shapira is basically the tribe with the lesser names and like they have no winners. The other tribes each have 2 winners and Cisternino is just there. So he's kind of like the de facto winner and that makes sense why they get him out first. I feel like they should have tried to even it out a little bit, but maybe you never know what they were doing if they did it. So, hey, let's put Boston Rob there because he can really dominate this group. Mm-hmm.
and the legend of Rob hadn't started. Like he was secondary Rob. Like Cisternino was the Rob at this point. And one of my favorite moments early on is when Boston Rob goes to Amber and say, "Hey, you want to make an alliance?" And it's like, and it's so casual of like, hey, clearly we have something going on. We're just saying this on the camera. Yeah. I think that the tribe breakdown is as best as we're going to get, especially with 3 tribes. Like, and especially with how stacked this cast is. Because if you watch an order like Jonathan's doing right now, if you're watching in an order and you get to season 8, there are people that you kind of wish they were there, but like, you can't beat this cast.
Yeah, like
in terms of the Survivor bubble of 8 seasons, you can't beat this cast because it is everyone. Like you have America's Sweetheart and Colby. You've got these winners. You've got the 3 of the final 4 from Borneo, which is like everyone's favorite season up to this point. Australian Outback is the villainous of all villains, and Jerry's here.
Oh my God.
Whatever that means. You've got Rupert from last season. Like you've got the final 3 of like you have everyone. So no matter how you separate them, we're probably going to get what we wanted. And what we want at a very base level is to see these people play again. And it doesn't really matter who they're with because we know those interactions are going to be fun no matter what. And that first episode's so great because you're just seeing these people. It's like Avengers Endgame. They're just there. They're talking to each other. And it's the craziest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting to the Rob and Amber point too, because we're going to be talking about a lot about their story here. But I believe they were dating right before the show started. Like they were already together. And Amber had previously she had dated Ethan, so there's history there. Boston Rob is literally trying to embarrass Ethan the entire season.
Wow.
Notice. So because he's really bitter that Amber dated Ethan. So.
It's ironic that they're good friends now.
Yes, it's very funny now.
Were they really dating before the season even started, or
They were canoodling.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh my god, I didn't know. See, I'm surprised. I didn't even know that. Aaron's like, that's why I love hanging out with you guys, because you drop all this knowledge
Right.
on like game day, and I'm like, what? Like my perception of it of the season changes completely.
Yeah, because this cast, like, or Survivor, like, through the first 7 seasons, they were literally a very tight community. Like, everybody knew everybody, because, you know, there's only, like, 112 players.
Less than 100 people have played at this point. So it's like, and this is the first season with 18 people to play, too. So
Exactly.
But yeah, it's definitely more curious of a decision that they put Rob and Amber on the same tribe, because they had to have known. Together.
Yeah. And it is interesting also, Mogo Mogo is the only tribe where one person from the first 6 seasons is on it. Like, it's not like most of the seasons aside from Pearl Islands are represented on that tribe. So it's really, really interesting there. And then the other tribes, I mean, you got Tina and Jerry together from Australia, and Amber and Alicia from Australia on Shapira. So it's very
for Mogo Mogo, in terms of like quality of game players, they're stacked. Like,
they're the most
Lex
stacked,
and
right?
Kathy and Hatch and Colby. Like, the only 2 that maybe don't fit are Cheyenne and Jenna, and like Jenna is a winner.
Yes,
really just Cheyenne.
Right. Exactly.
He had tried to do something in Thailand, which is a lot different from everything.
Yeah. True. Yeah. All right. So some other tidbits. So Hatch also, when he's talking about he can start a fire without even blinking, he smuggled matches up his ass. So that is why he's talking about he can make fire without even blinking. And they found out. So.
The season's amazing.
This is my favorite version of Richard Hatch. Like, I love him in season 1, but into this, it's just like, it clearly just does not care. I've already won. Who gives a shit? Like, I can say and do whatever I want, and no one, what are you gonna do, vote me out? Okay, well, sure, maybe, or maybe you don't, and I win again. It's so overly arrogant to the point where it's like, I love this. I want to be this man's friend.
Yeah, like he's openly just going around naked even more than in season 1, at least from what we're shown. So like he's definitely doing that because he just does not care.
Right. Yeah, he's almost like a caricature in this.
Yeah.
Like, he just goes in being like, I won, the winners are screwed here, no one's gonna vote a winner, so let's just have fun. Which is ironic considering the very next all returning players season, the final 3 is 2 winners, and the players, I think, thought it was all 3 winners because Russell was telling everyone he won.
Yeah. Very true.
Because the results of that season hadn't come out yet, so he was just assuming that he had won it, and then,
Right. I mean, some other fun stuff before we get to the challenge. We have Rupert and Rudy making an alliance, which is really funny.
Oh, go Rudy.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Rudy. But I mean, it's great to kind of see this little alliance. You have Rudy also them trying to hand the map to Rudy, and Rudy's like, "What do I look like, Magellan?" Oh my god. Yeah, and then then you have Shapira, and you have right before they're about to get to the challenge, and Sue is literally trying to just not be with the tribe as much as possible, and Boston Rob's trying to read the tree mail. He's like, "Unity."
Like, Rob knew what he was doing for TV moments. Like, you have to give him that.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Boston Rob is good television, regardless of like the gameplay he chooses to do. But like confessional wise, he is gold.
I think this was literally the season where like Marquesas, he was just like Rob, but this is the season where he literally became like Boston Rob. Like you got to see the full identity of that guy come out and just be like, there's nothing you can do to stop this guy in this game. Like there's literally nothing. He's got plot armor, like insane.
Oh boy, does he?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because as a kid watching this season, I'm a Red Sox fan. So like I'm rooting for Boston Rob literally because he's from Boston or he's from Mass. And my mom hated it because my mom is an adult at the time, and seeing how things, and she didn't know how to properly knock home, I shouldn't like this person, whatever, you like who you like. And so she goes, people from Boston are racist, so you shouldn't like them. I'm like, whoa, okay, wait, time out. Relax here. I'm just rooting for him because he's like, there's nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
So like I always have that in the back of my head of like, wow, my mom really tried to convince me that I shouldn't like Boston Rob because people from Boston are racist. It's all of them as a group.
Apparently.
It's just because he's a Red Sox fan. That's why.
So we do get to our first immunity challenge, which is Quest for Fire, of course. We've done it the first 4 seasons, kind of took a little bit of a break from it, and now it's back. So really fun to always see Quest for Fire. I think this is also like the best shot version of Quest for Fire that we've gotten, and like the best like cinematography, everything. Like it feels more epic than in the past seasons we've seen.
Yeah.
It's basically, so Here's Vs. Villains I call Survivor the movie.
Yeah.
If that's the case, it'd be like Here's Vs. Villains is 1989 Batman, and All Stars is like Adam West Batman the movie, where it's like, hey, like this is Survivor the movie until we get to the definitive, like this is the Batman movie.
Yeah,
we have this one first to like test things out, because yes, it is shot. It's shot so well. Like a lot of things this season are shot so well that it's like, yeah, this is a fun little TV movie version of Survivor. If Here's Vs. Villains is the motion picture, and yeah, you're right. Like I hadn't even thought about that. Like it is so well shot, that first challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you even have like stuff that's super dramatic that probably shouldn't be. Like Ethan, like at one point Saboga gets like their torch stuck in like when they're crawling through, and like Jenna is yelling at Ethan and rip the torch out, and Ethan like rips the torch out. It's like this dramatic music, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Like,
Ethan was dramatic this whole season.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Ethan, like, and they talk about it in the season, like Ethan freaks out during challenges, and like I feel bad, but like, yeah, Ethan was like fun to watch during these challenges because like he's either like freaking out or he's like messing up, and I don't know. It's really funny to watch Ethan compete in this season. So
plus Boston Rob coming after him like the whole time, trying to like tackle him and stuff, and it's just like, hey, this guy's after me. It's like, ugh.
With his little Jerry curls. It's like,
yeah.
So before we get to the first tribal council, we do have a mock tribal council, if you guys have ever seen it, where Shapira pretends that they're Saboga going to tribal, and it's one of the greatest things ever. So Sue is Jenna and Rudy, Cisternino is Jeff Probst, Alicia is Jerry, Boston Rob is Ethan, Amber is Tina, and Big Tom is Rupert.
So I never noticed that Tina had certain qualities until Amber dressed as her.
Oh no.
And then I went back and looked and I'm like, oh wow, that is very accurate, Amber.
It's really funny. No, and again, Boston Rob continuing to try to embarrass Ethan.
Oh yeah.
So...
And then with Cester, when he's like make fun of Cisternino, like, oh, the kid's clearly seen some survivors. It's like, yeah, it's 7 seasons, bro. Like,
yeah,
he hasn't watched 48 seasons of the show. It's not that hard to have mock Jeff and like know his mannerisms because he played and he's also watched 6.5 depending on seasons of the show.
And played on 2 of them.
Yeah, clearly seen some survivors. It's like, yeah, he sure has.
Yeah. So this was such a fun scene, though. Let's get to our first actual tribal council. So it's raining. The survivors are struggling with getting water. And tribal council's up in the treehouse, which is really fun. So I do like this tribal council set. But unfortunately, so it's between Jenna and Tina. Rupert and Rudy are the swing votes, and unfortunately, they choose to cut Tina loose, and Tina is the first all-star voted out. So I guess what are your thoughts on Tina being a first boot here? Where do you guys have her ranked? And then I'll reveal where she stands.
Tina's been one of my favorites, and at that point, like I think possibly my favorite Survivor of all time by the time that season aired. So I was obviously not thrilled to see that, and very happy when she had a better run her next time. I think it just, I don't know. I'm trying to think to like what could have swayed Rupert and Rudy, and it's probably like they saw the trend that's coming and they just don't want to be on the wrong side of that trend. So go with it. In terms of where she stands, I have her number 1 for Spoot.
I have her at number 1 as well. I mean, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. It's like, I can't go. I have the flag behind me. Like, I can't go against Tina. But that though, and that was really definitely hard to watch at the time too. And like, I understand their reasoning for doing it because she like won the game. It's like, well, Ethan won, Tina won, Ethan. We might need Ethan in challenges.
Right.
We got to pick. And obviously this started kind of Jenna's whole warpath with getting the winners out. I was like, how dare you go after Tina? Like, leave my people alone. I'm like, come on. And just kind of, and seeing like Rupert just like I like Rupert, but he was just like, sure. Like I don't expect him to go along with plans like that for some reason. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that'd be like, yeah, like, no, I'm going to be honorable and stick with Tina. But no, he's like, no, I'm going to get her the heck out of here kind of thing. And I'm like, geez, Rupert, like, come on. Like, so it was definitely hard to see Tina go first. And I'm glad she had a better run for Blood versus Water too. So it was kind of like, she's been all over the spectrum at this point. So she has more of a high success rate than losing rate though.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks seeing her go, but like, we didn't know at the time that we probably don't want our winners and favorite people to make the merge in this game. So like, in retrospect, in hindsight and all that, it's like, okay, cool. Tina, see you later. Like, you really dodged that bullet.
Yeah.
We'll see you again in Blood versus Water. We'll make it up to you.
Yeah, true. Yep, I have Tina 3rd of 57. I technically have 2 first boots. I'm sure you can guess from that language who I have above Tina. But Tina's fantastic. Like, again, she literally gets voted out first because she's a former winner. That's like my biggest fear. Going like playing orgs and stuff is like, okay, you get targeted for a previous game or whatever. It just legitimately would suck. But yeah, I mean, she didn't do anything wrong. So, like, you know, compared to other first boots who do a lot wrong. So, the current standings before I reveal where Tina is, Sonia, Deb, Diane, Peter, John, Nicole, and Ryan in that order. Tina's number 1 now. So Tina is above everybody else.
So she breaks the wait. So it went in order until
Nicole and Ryan were Nicole broke the curse. But yeah, I mean, this makes sense. I see Tina as maybe number 1 the whole rest of the way. We'll have to see. So, but yeah, that is the first boot rankings. All right, for the pre-merge, I did want to mention just that Rudy threatens to kill all his tribe after he gets voted out. I got a lot of friends.
Yeah, and he could probably pull it off too.
Yeah, I believe him.
Yeah, I believe him when he says he could. Yeah,
murder people. Yeah, I mean, he literally talks about like his Saboga's asking him like how about his like war stories, and he's like, you know, I saw a bunch of dead bodies. I drank all the water from like the sewers with dead bodies floating in it. Like, this man has seen shit.
Oh, yeah. But he's still endearing this whole time. Yeah. He's like, yeah, but if you guys vote me out, I'll kill you. It's like that's a very Rudy-like response to say.
Oh, Rudy, old scamp, and it's like, no, I'm serious. Like,
yeah, no, you little. He's like, oh, seriously, I'm gonna come back into camp, go Rambo, and like just like take you guys out.
All right, let's skip ahead because I did want to get to the Cisternino boot episode. But before we get to losing Rob Cisternino, let's talk about Rupert almost drowning Jerry with the shelter. And Rupert.
Oh, Rupert.
Oh, Rupert.
And he was like so confident in it, and Jerry knew it was not a good idea, and nobody listened to her, which is kind of just like par for the course for Jerry at that point.
Yep. Everybody doesn't listen to Jerry. Jerry's a villain.
Jerry's a villain. Like it's funny that like nowadays watching back her older seasons, like she makes more sense than people from like those beginning eras. I think the Survivor standard back then was just like either insanely high or insanely low, depending on how you look at it with certain contestants. It's like, Jerry, I don't care what she says or does, just don't listen to her, even if she's just being normal. Like it, and Rupert had a huge fan following at that point too. So it was like whatever he says is doctrine, and it's like it just it makes more sense. And that's why I think with All Stars, there are certain characters that just like who you really liked from their other seasons that ended up like crapping the bed. And this one, you see like a certain side of them that you haven't seen before, that they do more like villainous things, or they're like not as smart, or you see them like lose their cool a lot. And I think that's where the whole like fractured ego, or kind of people coming in with past experiences and being like, I was so good when I played last time, I'm going to do it again. And then they get like humbled through this season, because it's basically the Boston Rob and Amber engagement party season.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, Jerry has one of the more consistent edits throughout the 3-season run, where like her character never changes. Now the way that she's portrayed changes throughout the 3, but like even in this one, I remember watching for the first time, and it's like, oh man, I can't believe she's calling Rupert out. That's crazy. And every subsequent time, it's like, well, Rupert's actually down with a box of rocks.
Yeah.
So of course, Jerry is right. And you feel bad for her, because it's like, yeah, Rupert is basically trying to kill you without knowingly trying to kill you. And I know I'm jumping the gun by like an hour here, maybe, but Jerry sitting at the reunion, everyone was always going to boo her because she's gone against Colby and she's gone against Rupert. And you don't do that, because this is Colby and Rupert's show. It can't be the Jerry show, because we've been trained to tell you you're the villain here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that season 20 didn't have a fan vote for $1 million, because Russell would have won it, and it would have just been the biggest black mark besides actual black marks on the show. But we know, based off of how Rupert wins this, that
it was more that goes into the whole idea, like with your perception of certain contestants, right? Like this facade or character that they build up from their previous shows. When in reality, Jerry literally like leaves the reunion because she's like, this is a show that I forgot what she says, but she's literally like, I can only imagine just being, if you're like a normal person and then you get like labeled as a villain when you didn't really do anything wrong, and if you try to go against your perceived narrative and you're calling out other people who are deemed heroes, but they're doing kind of like asshole things, how dare you go after those people that we've built up to be heroes? You're going to look more like a villain, which I kind of felt bad for her at that. Like, well, now I do. Back then I was like, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was like, boo Jerry. But nowadays I'm like, ugh, like she really didn't do anything wrong. No. Like it just, yeah.
She talks about basically that they're all being billed as characters for people's entertainment, and they're all real people, and that was real emotions. And then she still gets booed. To me, I just think it's ridiculous. I think people nowadays can't even take villains still. Like, if anybody is like remotely villainous in the ballpark, people on the Facebook casuals, the Facebook moms will be like, this person is awful. This is an evil person. And like you had the Facebook moms, you had the Twitter stands that hated Eva, for example, from this most recent season, because she took Star's idol. Like all of a sudden she's a terrible person. Like
no comment.
No comment.
But anyway, we'll move on. We do have the blindfold challenge that Boston Rob will end up winning for his tribe in Heroes versus Villains. But here, we get a lot of injuries. Colby,
it was a disaster. Like Colby, like truck into big Tom. It just kept moving too.
Yeah, he's like smiling because he has no idea. He just almost murdered Big Tom.
Lex was just an idiot, like looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
Just, like, doing that.
Oh, it was so funny. That was really funny. And then, yeah, as soon as Big Tom gets clocked, you get the iconic Rob Cisternino reaction. Damn it! Damn it! No, I mean, I think Cisternino definitely should have been on this puzzle. I mean, yeah. I wonder if Rob had been on the puzzle, if like him and Boston Rob, like if they actually would have won the challenge. So
2 Robs better than 1.
Yeah. So, yes, we are going to get to unfortunately losing Rob Cisternino from this game. Yeah, I always feel so bad. This is one of my least favorite vote outs in Survivor history. Another one being when we get to Game Changers with Malcolm. But this one, we're just Rob, like his reaction to getting voted out and just how badly he wanted to be there, and just like the utter just like disappointment and sadness at getting taken out. Like I hate this a lot, and like especially because Boston Rob is there, he's again going to embarrass Rob Cisternino as much as possible, and it just sucks overall. At the very least, we do get the reference to Alicia waving her finger in his face, professional, but.
Yeah, so yeah, you can see he's just like mouthing F-bombs when they keep coming for him.
Yeah. It's the that I'm gonna keep pointing you out, but because of how you were watching the seasons, I don't know how close you were watching the episodes, but or seasons, but like if you're watching them in even a close proximity, Rob Cisternino is probably one of your favorite people
He was. I loved Rob C. When I saw that, I was like, "What?" There's a reason why I have a general distaste for this season is because I was seeing people that I liked, like Colby and Rob C. and Ethan, getting like axed like really early, and that made me kind of like dislike Boston Rob and Amber more because everybody was just kind of playing into like doing whatever they wanted to do, and seeing people who literally had no way to fight out of holes, because it was like a unanimous vote that Rob C got like voted out with, and he was literally like the nerd on like the popular kid tribe, and they all just like basically picked on him, and like that's why the spirit of this season is not really a positive one. Is I just feel like it's more negative, and it's more like, and that's why the jury was so bitter. And there's that cloud that everyone was so bitter is because it's like Boston Rob is going to. He's not just going to vote you out. He's going to embarrass you in front of everybody before he votes you out. And it's like that, and you can tell that, and it stings more. And then they're going to laugh about it when you're gone, kind of thing. It's not like it was like, who was going to win what? It wasn't like a battle of numbers. And it's like, and I mean, you can like tip the hat to the strategy aspect of it. But at the same time, though, it was a season where I just feel like people were upset because they were literally made to look like fools for certain aspects of the season.
I think
I was very attached to Rob C. Like I saw him like 2 seasons before that, so seeing him come back, I was like, no, like I like seeing my favorite characters get voted out early, which just sucked. And then it was just and then the rest of the season played out the way that it did.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and like Boston Rob really set the tone for that with all the Sue stuff, like dunking on Sue. So then they're like, okay, we can do it to everyone, because he embarrassed Rob Cisternino, because when they're like looking for stuff with the map, he's like, this guy's on a perpetual like coffee break, just feeding into that, and like, oh, I'm not gonna go get the firewood, you're gonna go collect it, and all that nonsense.
And other subtle things too, like it's saying like, I didn't know that like Ethan and Amber dated, and so it's like everything, he's like, they're not even on the same tribe, but he's like, in challenges, I'm going to embarrass you. It's like, it's something that like literally like a bully would do, like a popular kid bully would do. It's like this constant like, I'm going to like do this to you, and it's gonna just to show you, to prove a point. And it's
like he did it to Ethan in the like box challenge where he's like pretty boy, and then Jeff's like pretty boy. He's like, well, he looks, so it's him.
Yes, he's on.
And I also remember when like they were doing the barrel, they're rolling on the barrel challenge. He like tackles like Ethan and Colby, and he's like, Colby's not that tough, ladies. Kind of thing. And I like was so freaking happy in Heroes versus Villains when Colby just like trucks Boston Rob like at like 6 years later at the thing. He's just like, I could tell that Colby was just rearing to do that after 6 years of Survivor lore, and it was just like, okay, so it shows you in the game of Survivor, time can pass, but if you play again, you're gonna still hold some little animosity towards someone that somebody did like a decade prior. So it's just kind of fascinating how, like, in the game world, things can carry over if you jump back in with people that you've played with before.
Yeah. Smarten up, Cisternino. No, it's just unfortunate. So, and again, Cisternino should have been on 50. I'll say that forever. And so it's disappointing that we probably will never see him play again at this point. But oh well. All right, let's jump. Yeah, we did mention the attack zone. So yeah, we do have Boston Rob. Literally, I thought Ethan like hit his head or like broke a rib or something because he tackles him into the side of the pool. And then Colby, he literally like lifts him up. Like, all his like strength into lifting Colby up and dropping him off. Like, but we are going to get to after the immunity challenge in Mogo Mogo. This is after also the tribes have been absorbed. So we do have that twist where Saboga's dissolved and absorbed into Mogo Mogo and Shapira. So we have 2 new tribes of 7. And so this is where we're gonna get Richard Hatch getting bamboozled, and Colby is leading the charge for Richard Hatch to get voted out, which even if Colby didn't do this, I mean, Lex was going to push for this. Kathy was going to push for this. I mean, obviously Hatch was a dead man walking. We've all known this. He knew it. And so he does try to get the ball rolling on taking out Colby instead, but it does not matter. And Hatch is bamboozled. So thoughts on the first winner getting taken out here?
Iconic line.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Or the original winner. Yeah, sorry.
I love, like, he's a great boot, and you could tell, like, in the episode, he's just like, yeah, I'll start strategize now. Like, like be easy. And it's like, I don't know how much of this is real and how much of this is, I know I'm going home, but let's just do something for the camera right quick. So, like, I mean, we said it already. He doesn't care. He knows, okay, best case scenario, I win again. Worst case scenario, I won $1 million. I didn't think that. Well, not his fault, but that, and it's once again, just like Cisternino, just like Tina, it's like, yeah, you probably dodged that bullet. We don't need you at this next stage of the game, because everyone that makes the merge is just kind of like, I think I hate you. I think I hate you. All of these people have nothing but sunshine and rainbows for all, because you didn't have to deal with the mess that happens at the merge. So thank goodness Richard Hatch leaves here, so I can always enjoy him.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Hatch going?
Great outro.
Yeah.
I've been bamboozled. What's our episode title for All Stars?
That is the episode title.
That's what it's just such. And then he's like, food.
Yeah.
As he walks out, it's like,
okay, rubbing it in their face.
Yeah. This is a great boot episode. All right, we're gonna skip ahead. I did want to talk about the Colby Blindside because I do want to talk about obviously Colby again coming back for 50. So I did want to talk about this. So Colby with Xi'an, this sets it up because he's literally going to Xi'an and telling her, I don't respect your game or you at all. Like, to me, Colby is just a dick in this season. Like, he's just, he's like talking about how, like, much he dislikes Hatch. I mean, to be fair, Hatch is going around naked, so I can see why people would be uncomfortable by that. Yeah. But he's talking about that, and then, disrespecting Xi'an, and then, I think it's set up. I do think Colby's a big target regardless, but I don't think he helps himself necessarily. No. And obviously, he's also kind of a dick to Jerry again.
He had already. I was definitely drinking the Colby Kool-Aid at this point, and so at the time, I was very much like, I don't like Xi'an. Colby's right, whatever he says, but I'm like in that early Survivor stage mentality where it's like 8 seasons worth. you trust your heroes regardless, even if they are being dicks, right? But now that I rewatched some of it and went back, I'm like, well, Sheehan has like a lot of good points about like they're calling each other out on their strategies, and I think again it's the sign or the case of the inflated ego, where like Colby did so well on season 2. It was like, well, my strategy is obviously the best strategy to do it. And then she was just kind of like giving me the lecture about the honor integrity crap. And, you know, and Colby had already beat Jerry before and made it further than she did. So it's easy to just kind of have like that you're talking down mentality to someone where it's like you almost feel like you're untouchable. I think he did like later on in Heroes vs. Villains, he would say like with that season, he still had like the sense of adventure to be there and play. And like competitively wise, he was still doing well, but he was just viewed as a physical threat and they wanted to get him out of there versus like his kind of like desire to be there for 20. His desire was the same for 2 and 8, but like he was just voted out because he was considered a threat. And that's on Lex. And Lex, and I don't know if that necessarily helped Lex's game much, but it's like, you know, we'll get to the Lex thing too. Lex was a whole other character that I'm like, but Colby going early.
I might need to make another pick for Lex. So
Colby, with Colby though, but him going early again, it hurt when I saw him leave. But nowadays, when I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, that was probably going to happen, regardless.
Yeah, no, I think you make really good points because I think a lot of people like lump this appearance of Colby in with this Heroes vs. Villains because they saw he kind of wasn't motivated there. They're like, oh yeah, also he was terrible in All Stars, but in All Stars he went out early. I mean, he came close to the merge, like early because of his threat level. And like, did he play perfect? No, but I think he still did good. And if he went out like at this point in Australia, his edit's probably similar, even though he did the same thing. So I'm sure they cut stuff that they just didn't show about him. And like, him telling Sheehan that he doesn't respect her game, I almost wonder if in his mind, he's like, well, I'm the heroic guy. So like heroic, be honest and just like tell you straight up and like go on behind your back and like go for these reasons.
I think he said
Donald loved me, not you, Sheehan.
Because he said that like some people were coasting in the game and some people were kind of like bottom feeders that were just having to, you know, do that type of strategy to make it far, which I guess wasn't mainstream yet. Like in the Survivor world, like at this point in time, you're seeing people get far because of big bombastic strategies and putting themselves out there. Whereas now, if you do that, you get voted out early in modern day Survivor. But back then, it was common to get far off of big moves like being a challenge beast or something like that. So maybe in his mind, he thought like, Sheehan, you're a terrible person because you have to lie. Like, I don't have to lie to get ahead in this game. And obviously, looking back on that now, it's ridiculous. I feel for Sheehan a lot more. Especially when she goes farther later in the game and she calls everybody out on like, you're just gonna let Boston, Rob, and Amber do everything, and it's like, no, like, you're right, Sheehan, but we're just gonna help them anyways. Like, what the like, like what is like? It doesn't like, it's crazy. But I've matured on my opinion with Sheehan, and I totally get her standpoint now, and I think I'm hoping Colby redeems himself in some way for 50. I hope he just kind of like goes off.
I can see it. I think he's going to do good.
I'm like, if he can find that sense of adventure that he's always talking about for 50, then he will have a good time. And I wish I was on the Heroes vs. Villains episode, but he's a quick study when playing the game. Like he'll do his thing, but he's like, he'll pretend that he's, gonna quit, but then he'll get an edit and he's like, I'm not actually gonna quit, I'm just lying to everybody and I'm gonna do my things. I don't know how to quit. I'm like, okay, so he's got some fight in him. But that's for later. But in this season, sucked seeing him go early, especially as a fan favorite for these early seasons of Survivor. I think Jeff was probably really sad at that moment, but then he found a new love. He moved on really quickly.
But you said something that got me thinking when you're like, oh yeah, Colby's recognizing the strategy of like coasting. Is he revolutionary in recognizing like the key to winning an all-star season is like these people that are under the radar and like certain threats, and he called it out, but like nobody listened. That really is the key to winning an all-star season besides Jeremy and Tony, but they did it to an extent too. So I don't know. Maybe he actually has some really interesting chops to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe he really does have his finger on the pulse of things a little bit. It's just that he shouldn't have vocalized it that much.
Yeah, like not that early. Yeah, because it was like, but that's on Lex though. That is all on Lex because I like Colby, Lex, and Ethan, the three guys that I like love the most. And I was like, Lex, God, we'll get to that, but that's just.
Let's get to it now. I mean, at this point, so Lex does take out Ethan. They are friends outside this game from Africa, and he's like, this game is all about business. I didn't come here to have friendships, and I feel so bad for Ethan in that, Ethan is like, I can't believe like you're keeping Jerry in this game over me, who is your friend. Like, I think that it's ridiculous. And like even Lex's comment when he votes Ethan out is like, some people can win with like dignity and grace, but let's see if you can lose with dignity and grace. It's like
that'll come back to haunt him real soon.
Yeah.
He played the same strategy from Africa where you just go up and tell people if they're getting voted out on like his old friend.
Yeah.
And I can see that with Ethan, like it hitting harder for the fact of like, dude, he was like in your alliance, like all the way to the final three. And then I get it, like you won and he didn't, and he wants to win. But it's like, listen, dude, this is just business. Like, you got to go. I'm like, damn, man. Like, are you kidding? Like, after everything we've been through kind of thing, like it's not like we're just casuals here. Like, and then but Lex
he doesn't even actually believe it. He doesn't believe he is. No. It's him and KBO. I've never been a him or KBO person, and we can talk about KBO later. I don't like Lex because in this season, he's preaching all of this. It's a business trip. I'm not here to play friend Viber. All these buzzwords and phrases. And then 2 episodes or whatever later, it's, man, Rob's my friend, and I can't believe that he would take advantage of our friendship. And I came to him person to person, and it is jury speech.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, what are you talking about? I can do it, but you can't.
Yeah.
I can play it like this, but you can't. And Rob's just doing a better version of what you have been doing up to this point in the game. And I know I'm jumping the gun, but like with the Ethan thing, it's like, probably vote out Ethan. Probably.
Yeah.
He has shown himself to be a threat later in games. You want to get rid of that now. I understand the business aspect of it. But don't try to say that there and then also turn around and say, well, it's, Rob's my friend, and I can't believe he turns back on his friend like that. And that's...
It's like you traded like one of like your OG friends like growing up with a newer friend who actually didn't like want to be friends with you in the first place.
Right.
And that I think honestly like Lex like not going with Colby and Ethan probably messed up his game.
Yeah.
Because it's like you literally cut off one of your allies to trade it for an even more sketchier ally to begin with, and that because that started the whole downward spiral of oh my gosh, like Mogo, honestly.
Mogo.
And being like, I think we should get rid of Colby and take Jerry, and it was like it didn't matter anyways because they all just systematically got eliminated.
Yeah, you're taking out Jerry anyways, so what was the point of keeping her around over Colby? Like if
like what do you and Jerry got her little victory. Fair for her. Fair for nowadays. I'm like fair for her for feeling a little bit of glee that Colby got, that she got some type of vengeance against him in All Stars. So
the bellboy confessional is in reference to Colby's. I think it's a secret confessional that Colby had where he's like the bellboy is taking all my baggage away or something. That is a reference to that. So, but for me, I'll defend Lex a little bit in terms when we get later on, or in a couple episodes, just in the sense of I don't think Boston Rob handled it the best, but I will agree with you guys completely in the sense that Lex is hypocritical in so many ways here, and just like it's just I think if Lex had actually kept like Colby and Ethan, you have shields around you as well. Like Boston Rob is going to want to target Colby and Ethan over you first because again he wants to embarrass them for one, and like they are massive physical threats over you. So I feel like Lex should have probably thought that through. at the same time, and we're gonna get to it, if he actually, cuts Amber next round, then maybe he's still able to have the majority and be fine. But
yeah.
Let's get to that. So we have our second tribe swap here, and so I believe Jerry came out and said something like when they were drawing the buffs out of like the vase, that they put them all like top to bottom stacked on top of each other. And it seems like, okay, is it like, I don't want to say rigged, but like, is it set up for like, okay, we want Amber and Boston Rob to be like split from each other, so it's more drama. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
I wouldn't put it past them to do that. Like they clearly had a thing for those two. Like, again, this is like one huge engagement party for the both of them. So it's like I wouldn't put it past like Survivor to actually do things like this.
Yeah, because it seems like too big of a coincidence. But also, if you look back, it seems like they really love the fact that Rob and Amber had this whole story this season.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why would you want to split them up? But maybe it's just like they didn't realize at the time.
Right. True.
Yeah. I don't believe in most Survivor conspiracy theories, but like I could see why they. If they're going to split them up, they have to know that there is a big chance that Amber potentially goes, which for me means they probably had their crowned champion already. And then once Amber does survive, it's like, okay, screw it. Let's just put all of our attention to these two now, because clearly whoever our chosen one is probably not going to win at this point. So do I think they separated them on purpose? Yes. I don't think they wanted them to get back together, but they did. And
they just ran with the narrative, and they're just like, well, they're running the show at this point, so we're just going to see where this goes.
Let's stick with it.
Yeah.
In the worst Survivor quiz, Survivor trivia challenge that I've ever seen.
Yeah. This was awful trivia. Like, it was so easy. Also, you have Survivor apparently really liking the Ted and Gandia situation, because they literally make a joke about Gandia said you're too close or whatever. Like, what the hell are you doing, Survivor? Like,
that's another thing too. I figured out with this season, because there were like certain incidents that happened in the season. It's sort of, I feel like going forward, they had to become more sensitive with certain topics with certain like cast members and stuff like that, because they were kind of like making light of certain things. But I think these earlier seasons, I just saw like how like Jeff was just very like, he would never break character. Like he gets a lot more emotional now on like more modern seasons and stuff. And versus these earlier ones, he was just like, nah, you're feeling bad, I don't care, kind of thing. Like, we're just going to keep this train rolling kind of thing. But obviously there's stuff that happens in the season that kind of challenges that going forward in future seasons. Like, it's important to actually, these are real people going through real things that you might have to actually kind of, take care of them in some shape or form to make sure like nothing bad happens. So I thought that was really interesting that like they bring up topics like that, and it's like they make light of it, but it's also like going forward they have to really address certain things and be like, we weren't doing that to be mean, we were doing that because we actually like, they needed to change. And I think this season brought change to being more sensitive towards how, I guess, certain contestants are actually feeling at certain points in time. And I thought that was like a really interesting thing they did with the trivia challenge.
See, I will say that I kind of disagree with that, because season 15, Courtney's sitting there, Jean Robert, this, that, and the other. And what does Jeff say? Oh, Courtney, are you anorexic? Like,
oh, yeah, you're right.
What are you talking about? What does that have to do with anything? It's like, I think that Jeff change happened more recently. Like,
like there is,
around 39.
Yeah.
But like before that, it's just like, oh yeah, let's just make light of all of these things because it's funny. It's Ted Gandia. I'm just gonna reference this and be like, oh, isn't and I don't know if it's Jeff that came up with the riddle or the whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just in a vacuum, in a bubble. This is 2004,
like 4.
2004. Yeah.
So like, yes, this is laughable then somehow, but it's still like, all right, well, we do have hindsight, and why are we laughing at this?
Yeah.
I think during the reunion, they're like, oh, one of the best fights was between Ted and Gandhi. It's like,
Right. It's like making light of a situation. I do agree with you on that. Like Drew is like, okay, maybe not that it actually he did get more sensitive, but like more recent than like that early. Because I completely forgot about like everything else that happened for the next 35 seasons. Oh yeah, there are a lot of very insensitive moments that happen, and it's like not until later that it's like maybe we should actually kind of, do something about it. But yeah, I was like, it's just
all right, let's get to our moment. So the new Mogo Mogo, or the Shapira minus Amber, does win the challenge, and we get if you take care of her, I'll take care of you.
Psych? No. That's like,
yeah.
Not really.
So yes, so Boston Rob makes this deal with Lex, and now Lex and Kathy are going to now protect Amber and take out Jerry instead. So thoughts on this deal? Obviously, we're about to then get into Boston Rob breaking the deal, but yeah, I mean, this is a big moment in Survivor history. We haven't really seen anything like this before.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting because they didn't have like that much allegiance to Jerry because she wasn't from their original tribe. So we'll talk about this in a different podcast, but like if they actually vote out Amber, does it even help them?
Yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, it seems like they really just fell for like the emotions of like, well, this is my friend, he asked me to do this, I'm gonna do this, without thinking too strategically about it.
Right. Yeah, this was out of friendship.
Yeah, and he sold Ethan up a river like it was fucking nothing, and so it just I don't know where I was going with that, but it was just so crazy, like because like we're talking about how like voting Colby out was kind of like the beginning of the end for like the Mogo Mogo situation. It was like with Lex, you did all that effort to flip to keep Jerry, you might as well keep her. And like, well, no, now I'm going to get rid of her. I'm like, well, we're like, you replaced one number with a different, and you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by like not keeping them. You might as well just like sleep in the bed that you made, kind of thing. Where it's like he's like, no, I'm going to keep messing up the bed, and then like not do anything with it. And then Boss Rob's like, I could like I can't even do the line because he's like, if I could protect you, I would, but I can't. Like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. He's like, you're really stabbing me in the back, man. I thought we were friends. And I'm like, and poor Kathy, because Kathy, like, she's the only one that has any type of relationship with Rob because they played the same season together. And she's talking about that later, where it's like, you and me have something because we, I've known you longer than other people, and it's just it's just for Mogo Mogo after that.
So I'm not some all-time Boston Rob person. But I understand how he thinks. And in this situation, I know we keep bringing this up. A lot of these people thought they were going to be playing Friend Viber. And if you know that as a person, and you don't plan on doing Friend Viber, but you know that these people are going to definitely buy into a lot of this.
Yeah.
Why would you not say, hey, if you can save this person, I'll get you back, friend. Like, don't worry. We still have that pregame alliance thing going on here. And then when I eventually get rid of you, I'm doing it because I'm trying to win $1 million, and I'm willing to use that as a way of winning the game. Because if you're silly enough to think that outside game relationships actually matter, then that's on you. So I get it, and I think it's a very smart thing to do in that situation. And it's Lex's fault for falling for it, and it's everybody else at Camp's fault for because Amber does also get on her knees. She pulls a Banu.
Yeah, she does get on her knees
to like keep her, and they do. So it's not just Rob doing it. Amber does put in the work on her own, and it sucks depending on how you're watching it. But yeah, you guys fell for this. That's on you all.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, like I think again, Boston Rob does not handle this the best way. I think there was probably stuff that was cut out of the edit that Boston Rob said that made it that much worse. So I think that's probably why. Now, do I think Lex took it way too hard, yes, but I don't think Boston Rob's completely innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's innocent this season. There are no saints here. It's like there's just sinners. Like that's all there is.
There's Sheehan and
There's Sheehan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
but we gotta rank the merge.
Yes.
Name.
Yes, Shaboga Moga. It does sound like a dance. So even though it is the combination of all three tribes again, which I do not like, at least it sounds better than like Chewy Jai because like it sounds like a dance. So I will give it above Chewy Jai, but it's not going to break the more creative tribe names, I don't think.
Good as a dance, not as a tribe name.
No.
Yeah. Like I don't mind it. I mean, it kind of fits like this whole goofy theme they're going with, like a lighthearted theme on Shapira. And it's ironic that like the merge tribe is lighthearted, but the season is not lighthearted.
No. And then we do also have that reward with Rupert taking Jenna and Amber, and he says, "I want to hug and kiss these women all over." Rupert, you can't say that.
I really hope my wife doesn't watch this. Yeah, and then she gets brought out later, and it's like,
oh, Rupert.
I feel like we just see like that's the thing is with this cast. I feel like we got so used to seeing like the good side of a lot of these cast members, then we just only see the bad side of them this season, which makes them a lot more human. And I'm like, huh, interesting. So it just kind of like deconstructs your favorite characters. So like, weird observation.
Yeah. And speaking back to how like Boston Rob is dunking on people, you have him at some point pre-merge. He's like, "Yeah, Rupert just talks in baby talk." He's like,
oh, and when they get in like their alliance, and like Rupert goes fishing, and he's like, "Sure, he can feed me all he wants until I decide to vote him out, which will be determined by me," kind of thing. So it's just like it's that constant state of like making everybody look like idiots the whole time, and I'm like, and he will let you know, and you will know after you're gone, kind of thing. So it's crazy.
It's Aquaman versus the city kid from Boston. All right, so Lex and Boston Rob and Kathy are gonna have this giant argument. Kathy's gonna break down in tears. And
Coach Drew like shaking his head. He's like,
Drew does not like Kathy. So she then offers to give her immunity necklace to Lex because her and Rob win the immunities because it's double immunity. And so, we get to tribal and the edit, like, I think Lex has even spoken about this like they edited it to make it seem like he was shocked that Kathy didn't give him this immunity when he very well knew that he'd convinced her not to. Like, you even see him being like, "Kathy, please don't give up your necklace." And like, so I don't like that they edited it to make it seem like Lex is even more of a fool than,
or he's even more pissed than he already is.
Because even on the previously on for the next episode, they're like, and Lex was shocked.
He was not shocked.
He was not shocked at all. I know that one of y'all had brought the conversation up, and Lex's voice cracking when he was like, "I hope you can, I was a friend." But I'm like, okay, whatever. And then Kathy gives her a little confessional where she once again pronounces Marquesas as Marquesa. And she's like, "Oh, there was this dark side of Rob that came out in Marquesa and blah blah blah." And it's like, what dark side are you talking about? The fact that he's calling out Rotu for doing exactly what they are doing,
right?
Like, is that the dark side you're talking about? Because here, he's going against his word. If that is a dark side, then most people, I guess up to this point, most people are probably, and just quickly a Kathy thing that she just says on more than one occasion this season. Basically, I was robbed in Marquesa. And it's just like, once again, I don't think people understand what the word robbed truly means. You didn't even make it to the end. In fact, you fell for the oldest trick in the book because some 19-year-old Mormon girl convinced you that your goodies were showing on TV. So everything about Kathy this season, it's like, why are we supposed to like her again? But stuff like that's like, oh man, Rob's breaking my heart because he's doing this evil thing. It's like he's not doing this evil thing. He's voting people out of a game.
It's like the first, and he's just doing like what he's good at. The only difference is the first time he couldn't get anything going, and now you're actually seeing what he can do when he gets something going, kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, like this season, it was such a fall from grace for her because the first season she's edited to be this lovable, like fan favorite character that you're all rooting for, and then here they're just making her very unlikable. It's almost like they did it on purpose to like Lex and Kathy because they're bitter at Boston Rob because they love Boston Rob.
Yeah, I agree.
Jeff's like in the editing room. He's like, "Leave my man alone. I'm gonna make you look bad." like typing it up. I feel like every contestant was a fallen angel this season.
Yeah. So yeah, let's skip ahead now. Let's skip to Sheehan winning immunity. So obviously Lex and Kathy do get picked off. Sheehan knows she needs to win immunity. We get the when it rains it pours challenge. And Sheehan has this big celebration, winning immunity, pisses off Alicia. And like, oh my God, this is an iconic moment. And like in that moment, if you know you're on the bottom, like I can get like celebrating and like being super happy that you stopped these 6 people from just picking you off for one round.
Yeah. Well, and then Alicia threatens her, like, "Oh, you should go back to camp." It's like, yeah, are you to kill me? Like, come on.
It's like, yeah, but not for you. Like, you're going home tonight. Like, and she still even tries to like, I don't know if this happened before or after challenge, but when it was like Sheehan's trying to go up to all these people and be like, "Listen, like Rob and Amber," it's like she's trying to do this, and that's why I like her more now. And then Alicia goes like, "Sheehan, there's already a plan in place." I'm like, what's the plan for you to get voted out? Like, it's like, I mean, it's like, and everybody knew it, but they just like let it happen because for some reason they think that like, well, after all these people are gone, Rob will take me, right? Like, it's like, no, he's not going to. He's going to take her. And then if you're on the inside of that, then it's like, it's so weird when you're playing the game in general and you're in those shoes, you can clearly see what the pecking order is and what's going to happen. Like, Rupert was like giving like stakes to like Boston and Rob and Amber and like Jenna. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Rupert reveals the pecking order like so clearly, and nobody does shit about it. It is the most annoying thing. My biggest grievance with like Alicia in this season is she brags about not having an alliance except for Boston Rob that she makes a deal with on like day 24 or something. It's like, Alicia, are you serious? You like are bragging that you don't have an alliance in an all-star season. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And clearly she did because she was part of this bigger Shapiro alliance. So that is an alliance. But
exactly.
Yeah, she's something else here.
Yeah. And even we get touchy subjects, and she's butthurt. So she's already butthurt that they deemed her not deserving of.
Like, who does not deserve to be an all-star? It's like Alicia.
Yeah, and then, you know, as the round progresses, and you know, Sheehan is doing her. This is the best episode of the season. This is the best episode of the season because it breaks the chain of events that's been happening. And you just kind of sit there like, okay, well, yeah, she's probably gonna go home next round, but like, I can't wait for one of these people to get their comeuppance. That's not Rob and Amber, because I don't even want Rob and Amber to get their comeuppance because they're not doing anything wrong. They're leading these people along, and they're all falling for it. And Rupert has told everyone straight up what's happening. So, see you, Alicia. It's so great. It's so. I get excited watching Sheehan win that challenge. And especially going against the great Rupert. Like watching her do that. And once again, it's not like Rupert does really well at individual challenges historically. So in retrospect, but in the moment, it's like, this is good shit, pal.
Just for one night, we got like someone going against the narrative and like flipping the script a little bit. But then like that's very short lived after that, and then the rest of the season plays out the way that, it's the engagement party continues.
So you do have Sheehan calling everybody stupid people.
Like, I was like, these were idiots, and I was like,
And then you have Boston Rob's voting confessional for Alicia, where he says goodbye to her in different languages. Au revoir, arrivederci, sayonara, as we say in Boston, see you later. God. Yeah. And then, so now we're going to get to the loved ones visit. Couple iconic moments. We have Laura Bonham appearing for the first time as Rupert and Laura try to get it on.
They're like,
That's pretty bad.
it's like, another reason.
I think Big Tom has like few good lines in this season, in this episode. One of them is that having to watch Rupert slobber all over his wife. Oh my God. And then Boston Rob's face when his brother has to eat the fafaru, which is a great callback. And then Jenna Lewis's brother.
Jenna Lewis's brother was ridiculous. Because he's like, with his mouth full of water, he's like, like, we couldn't do this.
Yeah, it's so. And then like Bucky Bowe and Boston Rob's brother, like, no, Jeff definitely said you couldn't drink water. The Lewis kids also just argue because Jenna Lewis argues as well in the final immunity later. So it's just a funny through line. So yeah, that happens. And then my other funny Big Tom line in this season is Big Tom talking about everybody who's making alliances with who, and Chiana's made an alliance with the Bush.
That was a really good confessional. He's just like describing what he thinks is happening, and then they pan to it, and it's happening. So
let's just skip ahead more, and so we get to our car award at the final 5, and so this is where Boston Rob and Amber are going to win the cars. And we have Jeff having this moment with his bromance and getting to hop in the front. He's like, Amber, get in the back. Hop in front of the Oh, Jeff.
It's like they're in the back. They're in the bed of the trunk, like watching the movie. Like it's just like Amber and Rob, and like it pans over to Jeff's like in the back with them. Like he just like snuggles up like with Boston and Rob. And I'm like, God, because I don't want to be hanging out with those losers. I want to hang out with you guys.
Yeah. It's very funny. I love the unhinged Jeff moments. He's so very clearly pandering to his family.
Oh yeah.
Sure and yeah, then we have another Nalia and with a Mint moment where Amber goes back and talks about her car and stuff to everybody, which it should piss everybody off more and get them to go against the couple, but they still don't.
Sheehan's gone at this point, right? Like she finally, okay,
yes,
so it's final 5. Okay, yeah, because like they come back with like they're obviously a couple and they just won cars, and they're winning and Rob's basically winning a lot of immunities at this point too.
Yeah,
and it's like you have Jenna, Rupert, and Tom, and then I think this is finally someone in that alliance that's like when Tom and Rupert get together, Rupert's like, we gotta break that damn couple up. And it's like, and they had so many chances to do it, because when you're into like a couple alliance or just a duo, only one of you has to win immunity for the other one to be vulnerable, or if you still have numbers, you could still make it happen.
Right.
It's just like nobody did anything about it, and they're thinking about doing it, and then Rob's like, yeah, no, I don't like that. Hey Tom, I hear Rupert.
Yeah.
And then like, he said what? And they go down to the beach and they're like arguing, and then like Rob's like in the surf with them, just like,
it's so ridiculous. Rob instigates this fight and stands right there to watch it all happen, and these people still don't do anything.
Yeah. Oh god.
Dumber than a box of rocks. Dumber than a box of rocks. They're when he comes up on them talking, and Tom like has to like change what he's been saying, because it's like, once again, you have 3 people right now. There are no idols. There are no idols.
Idols don't exist.
Nip this in the bud. If you really think at this point that you are actually in Rob's final 2, you're crazy. And if you're still playing this loyalty BS, which I do feel like Tom and Rupert were doing, like, hey, I'm a man of my word, even though Rupert's already broken his word and voted out Rudy, whatever. I'm a man of my word. It's like, okay, And this is why you're not actually here to win the game. So Big Tom, what he said earlier in the game of like, hey, if something bad happens, blah, 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 because I'm out here playing Survivor. It's like, you're out here playing Survivor. You're not out here to win, because if you were, you would just do that. You would understand. Yeah, Rob's feelings might get hurt. It won't, because Rob has actually shown being voted out of games and he knows how to lose.
Right.
Rob's feelings might be hurt, but who cares? Because I just won $1 million. And instead, it's no, I can't break it, because in the off chance that he's not with Amber, at least I've stuck to my word, which goes a long way apparently, because I can't wait to talk about the jury.
No, we will get there shortly. So then Big Tom denies trying to gun for Boston Rob. He did this in Africa. We talked about where he like throws out like Lex or Boston Rob's name and then doesn't actually do anything about it. So like it's just annoying. And then Boston Rob's just literally denying it. And then Rob and Amber are like, well, you're the swing vote. They're like, you're supposed to be with us. You're not supposed to be the swing vote. And Big Tom keeps being like, well, I'm the swing vote. I'm going to go with Rupert, Jenna. And it's like, bro.
Amber explain to him how that's wrong. Amber's like, Tom, you can't say that.
Yeah. Tom is ridiculous. And then at this point, he's just played it so badly that even Rupert and Jenna, everybody votes Big Tom out. And you have Big Tom giving the death glare to Boston Rob.
Yeah.
So...
He walks a couple paces though first. Like he goes down the trail and then until he's like a shadow, and then he just like turns around and like looks at him, and he's like lingers for like a minute and then leaves.
Young Aki takes notes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then everybody on the jury is like just shaking their head like, I can't believe.
Big Tom. It's like,
can't believe it.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Like I will say, so I believe the prize money or the placement money was boosted, so that's why people, I guess, are okay with just taking any placement. So
yeah, at that point,
I don't know. Like it's
still Celebrity Survivor. Like this is still a time in the history where you can be famous for being on Survivor. So I mean, I do get it from that aspect, but like you also can't be upset that there are also people out here that want to win the game of Survivor,
and not just place higher. So I guess that is now the post merge. Let's get to our finale of Survivor All Stars. And so Rupert goes here at Final Four. It's the Marquesas merge, and Rupert thinks Jenna's gonna go to Rocks for him, and they think it's gonna be Rocks, not Fire Making at this point, because they've seen Marquesas. And so Jenna is convinced, okay, I don't want to go to Rocks, so I'm going to help take out Rupert instead of actually trying to make something happen against the couple. So goodbye, Rupert.
Yes, goodbye, Rupert.
She legitimately thought that Rob and Amber might not take each other to the end, which if that were true, okay, good on you, but obviously that's not true. So it's an incredibly bad read, and she should have went to Rocks to try to force one of them out.
Yeah,
I feel like the fact that like everybody knew they were a couple, literally even like from the beginning, like going all the way back to Rob C's quote with like Boston Rob and Amber are gonna do it. Like they knew from that early in the game that they were together, and they did not hide it, and everybody just was like, like again, well, at that time, well, to their credit, this is the first time ever. This is like the OG power couple.
Yeah,
like it's never been. It's not. Nobody ever considered that to be a strategy in Survivor, and it proved here that it was a very effective strategy. And I think that's why after this, it like never worked ever again, because it's like we're not letting that shit happen. Like it's like you can fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Like in the history of Survivor, they're like, if we even get when you get a cast, and they're like, if we even get a hint of a couple game together, you're both gone. Like, and so this was the season that started that. So, but hats off to them for making it work.
Yeah, we'll get to that in our contribution to the evolution of Survivor, because that's a huge one. So all right, so let's get to our final immunity challenge. So we get the hand on an idol, and of course Jenna argues that her foot didn't come off the thing, and yeah, again, Boston Rob and Amber went out. Rob wins, and of course, we know that he's about to vote Jenna out. And so Jenna Lewis is our fallen angel of this season. So let's get to our fallen angel rankings. So as they stand right now, Cisternino at number 1, Kathy Veverick O'Brien number 2, Rudy 3, Lex 4, Johnny Fairplay 5, Chef Keith at 6, and Jan Gentry at 7. So where do you guys have Jenna Lewis?
So I have her at number 28 out of 48. Because I think she showed some strategic side to her, and like it's impressive that she was able to go from a minority and get herself in, because like if you remember, she was from Saboga and got drafted over, so I think that's impressive. The question is how much of that was from her actively doing stuff versus like it just happened, because Rob and Amber didn't seem to care who they went with. Like I don't think they had like the tightest alliance with Rupert and Jenna. It just so happened that's how it turned out that they ended up in the end, but I don't know.
Drew, Jonathan?
I had her at 30. I already had like my own personal grievances with Jenna up to this point, so just see this season just like made it worse. And because of the whole, I had her low. And I nowadays I do appreciate her like tenacity and like playing the game, and like sometimes you got to be that character that ruffles feathers, that is a bulldog and goes after previous winners or previous big threats. Sometimes you got to do it, but it just really drove me up a wall that it seemed like she was just okay with supporting Rob and Amber the whole game. And Drew, you were talking about how like, are you here to play, sir? Are you here to win Survivor, or are you here to play it? And it seemed like she was doing these things to make big moves, but it seemed like she was just playing it like she was just okay with like losing to Rob and Amber at the win. I'm like, no, I want to see you double down on this and like win this challenge to beat them up. But it's like, no, I lost. It's okay. I'm like, so we're just following the narrative at this point of letting them win. And the only time you get to see Rob and Amber go at it is literally in that challenge. It's like, well, now that everyone else is gone from the game, we can compete against each other, and we see that. But with Jenna, I had her kind of, I appreciate her as kind of being that like villainous kind of character, being that bulldog and having that fight in her to do stuff. But it was just, it seemed like her game ended up being more of a supporting act for our 2 finalists.
Yeah,
so.
She's second or third as far as like game players are this season. But like you just said, it's very contradictory what she's doing. She's playing to win by getting rid of these winners and doing what she has to do to get through the game, and then she's also not playing to win because she's not doing things that, like, all these people are somewhat smart. She's very aware. She's very aware. She can see what's happening here. And so for me, it's always been like, I want to have her higher than she actually is. And I think the only thing that holds me back is like, you started off so hot. It's similar to like Sherry from Caramoan. Where Sherry is like one of the best strategists at the beginning of the season, and as the game progresses, it's kind of like, oh, well, then Sherry's still here, and fine, whatever. Like that's how I feel about Jenna.
Yeah. I had Jenna 26 to 48. Like I had her around the same spot. And just like, yeah, she does play. She does have the strategy to get the big players out. And then she kind of falls in line with Boston Rob and Amber, as we've talked about. So I think around here is probably appropriate. Maybe it's even a little too high, but I think it works. Jenna Lewis ends up at 6th. She ends up above Chef Keith and Jan, so she is under Johnny Fairplay. So I think that's pretty accurate, honestly. So, all right, we're getting to the point eventually, shortly, where we will have a top 10, and then we will boot people out of the top 10. So we will get there in a couple seasons' time. All right, final tribal council. So the jury is one of the most bitter in Survivor history. And so eventually, like, Boston Rob, I think, starts out confident and then just slowly just deteriorates, where he's just like realizing that these people hate him. And so he starts like apologizing, getting really sad. And he says later in Redemption Island, Like he should have just told people to kiss his ass.
Yeah.
And like he definitely should have, because coming off apologetic at this point and not like owning the fact that you just stabbed everybody in the back is just not a good look.
Mhm.
Yeah, I brought this up during our cases where his after his boot, he gives these words of like, "Hey, I was just actually out here playing a game. I hope that we can all be friends afterwards." Like he's a very gracious loser.
Yeah.
And so here, yeah, he's confident, but also it's like the Mike Turner effect of like you can see in real time when he realizes, oh, these people are like upset, not game upset.
Yeah.
These people might not want to be friends with me afterwards. Like they like is sitting here telling me that I put our friendship on the line for a stack of greenbacks. And Big Tom is don't be stupid, and all this other stuff. And it's just like how you feel for him. I always feel for Rob during Final Tribal because it's like, yeah, you can tell that he was just playing this game. And I'm always appreciative of Sheehan for saying, yeah, no, all of you guys are hypocrites and they did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
The end. She's the only sane juror here. I don't want to hear you crying, Kathy, that your heart is so broken because he's like a son to you. Like
you are my child.
Get over yourselves. So yeah, the winner wins. The winner always wins. I don't think Rob was robbed or anything like that, but he lost. He's the only winner, the only loser to lose because the jury is actually pissed off.
Yeah. I want to say with Amber, we'll talk about it when we get to her ranking, but I feel like she does win from jury members who are more against Rob than for her. So,
and there's some people that vote for her that you would have thought would have voted for Rob, or some people you thought would have voted for Rob that voted for her, because it's like Sheehan like gave that speech, but I think she ended up voting for Amber.
Yeah.
So it's like what? Like it's like so. Yeah. It's weird people's criteria for that specific vote. But you were saying, Shane?
I was just saying Sheehan was the exception to that.
Yeah. Sheehan absolutely was voting for Amber. She believed Amber played the best game. So I will support Sheehan at least, like, for believing that she's voting for the best game.
Yeah.
When Sheehan gets voted out, she's like, I'm voting for the person that's playing the best game.
Yeah.
And she votes for Amber, and it's like, yes, because I do think that Amber has merit. There's always merit to everyone. But I don't think that it was just Rob and then Amber's just kind of tagging along. It's like, no, she's happy. That conversation we talked about with Big Tom, her getting on her knee and asking to stay. Her social relationships bring in Jenna as the third person in that group. So yeah, I really hate this jury. I hate this jury so much.
Yeah, what I didn't like was like Lex's speech, because it was just him pandering to himself basically to make himself feel better, and he wasn't asking a question. He was berating them.
Yeah, the stack of greenbacks. And then Kathy being sad, Big Tom, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically what happens. Rupert has Ross and Rob panders to Rupert saying, well, I'm a man of my word. Like, so you should vote for me. All right. So, after that, so I will say Rob and Amber, after the final tribal, when they were flying home, they needed a separate flight home because they thought the jury was like legitimately going to like hurt them.
Really?
Yeah. So it's unfortunate. I don't really understand why people are that mad at that point to people to feel that way. But
I can get like a normal bitter jury. Like there's like normal bitter juries, right? But this was like, I'm going to potentially Rudy's going to come out of the bushes and stab anybody. Not
he's
stab,
he
didn't make it, but he's going to stab everybody on Ponderosa. So it's like the fact that I didn't know that little information where it's like they needed separate flights. I'm like, geez,
Well, and Jake, you're going to be talking about this next week. The two most actual bitter juries in the history of the show, for me, from my perspective, are All Stars and Vanuatu.
Yeah.
In both situations, these people are just angry.
Yes.
And not game angry. They are. Oh, I know I'm jumping the gun by a week, but like you've doomed your son to hell.
Yeah, we'll talk about Sarge being ridiculous next week. Yeah, so Amber does win 4-3. Rob proposes to Amber, so that does happen. And Amber's wearing the I Love Rob shirt. Jerry is booed off the stage, as we referenced.
For making good points.
Yes, for making good points.
Which is like, this is a game and we're real people. Boo! And
like, I mean, they're booing Lex. They're booing...
Lex was so hypocritical, and like Jeff is calling it out, and Lex is just doubling down.
And Richard Hatch on the sideline, also criticizing Lex, being like, it's a game, and Hatch is like shouting above Lex at one point. Like, and so, and then we are going to get announced. We got America's Tribal Council. They're going to have voting from the fans for different categories. So we get to see that as well. And Rupert wins $1 million. So
he won without winning.
Look on everyone's faces is like, because the running gag is no one actually likes Rupert. It's just the edit makes us feel like Rupert. In Latin Pearl Islands, where Sean is sitting there on the jury, like, oh yeah, the edit, and at the time you don't know what he's referring to, and then it's just like, no, Rupert's just actually not the best. And so in All Stars, they all know he's going to win.
Yeah,
they know he's going to win, and they're all sitting there annoyed once again because it's like, yeah, this guy sucks. This guy sucks. I'm not a Rupert person, so I agree with them.
It's crazy. I was definitely drinking the Rupert Kool-Aid at this point. Again, it's so if you watch the show in chronological order, like it doesn't matter if you start it now, you will get sucked into the mentality of what people were thinking back then, where it's like you're probably automatically going to like people like Rupert or Colby or whatever, versus if you just watch the seasons randomly and jump around, then you'll look at the older ones and be like, this doesn't make any sense. But if you actually watch them in order, I bet you, like, doesn't matter what time period that you're watching these in order or like from now, but you're somehow going to get conditioned to the mindset of what people were thinking at the time. And I started watching this in like 2022, and I had the mentality of someone in 2003 who loved Rupert or who loved Colby, but then obviously that ages over time. So it's crazy how like you can get sucked into that versus how people feel about certain characters now with modern day Survivor.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to our finalist and winner ranking. So the losing finalists ranked, we have Colby at number 1, Kelly Wigglesworth number 2, Nalia 3, Kim Johnson 4, Lil at 5, Matthew Von Ertfeld at 6, and Clay at 7. Boston Rob for me, I have 3rd out of 81. Boston Rob's All-Stars game is so dominant. I mean, he very much controls a group of All-Stars and gets them to not turn on him and Amber, even though they should. So I have to give Boston Rob so much credit. So he's 3rd for me.
I also have him at 3rd out of 81. And like you said, the dominance. Originally, I was thinking like he played like a really innovative strategic game, but looking back, he really didn't. It was just a level of dominance that we hadn't seen before in control, but like strategy wise, I feel like there wasn't anything like that novel about his strategy. It was just dominance, and even some of it was emotionally charged. Like the whole Lex thing, I think, was very emotional rather than like thinking about the strategy behind it.
Right. What about you guys? Drew, Jonathan?
Drew?
So I mean, I have Rob pretty high. That's when you talk about runners ups that a large population would think, oh, I would have voted for this person. Me personally, I still would have voted for Amber, but like not because I would have been pissed off at Rob. It's like, okay, I appreciate the social aspect of the game more than the strategic side of the game. But he put on a great performance, and yes, it wasn't innovative. He literally just did what Richard Hatch and all these other people had done of like, let's just get an alliance together, let's pick off everyone, and whoever's the last person standing, so be it. So he didn't revolutionize anything, but what he did do is exploit outside the game relationships and play on a game of character. This season is mostly character all-stars, not gameplay all-stars. And it's like, okay, as long as I get rid of the game players, specifically Rob, beforehand, I can take his spot and not really have to worry about anyone trying to pull any type of big move on me because these people don't know how to play the game. You guys have dealt with Rich already, so I don't have to worry about him coming after me. I'm going to deal with Lex at the merge, and now all of a sudden I just got all the big characters that are not great game players, and so that's where that innovation comes from, I think.
Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah, so I had him at number 1 because I think it was just, we talked about like how dominant of his game was, and he was still kind of like, he had his first season with Marquesas. He was good enough to make it to the merge, but he didn't make the jury, so he's in that gray area. He comes back for this. He exploits past relationships, just completely makes people look like idiots the whole game, like unapologetically until the very end, where he starts backing on everything that he's done at this point, and which he recorrects in Redemption Island. But I just had him at number 1. Like, that was like an insane. Him and Amber had like plot armor the whole time. Like, sometimes you will play a season of Survivor, or you'll watch a season of Survivor. You might lose to someone. You might be able to beat someone that you could out-strategize them, or you could outplay them in challenges. But if you go up against someone that's got the narrative, you can just sense it. Like, it's like there's almost like nothing you can do to beat this person's narrative or story. Like, it's almost like overwhelming. We've seen it with certain players before, but I think it was just like he did almost everything right except win at the end. And he almost he got everything except the actual crown of being the winner of that season. Yep. He was the runner-up. He played the most dominant game. He got a wife out of it. Like, it's right. They got married. Like, it was literally just like one huge kind of celebration for both of them. It's like he walked away with more than what most of the people were going to get out of that season anyways. So I think I just had to give him that, because it was like, I mean, he comes back and does win a season, but like, that was just like, dude, like, it was just, he should have won that one.
Rob, the Survivor player, to Boston Rob, like the reality TV celebrity that has been on TV every decade since the 2000s. He's always on TV, and
so Boston Rob is the new number 1. Not shocking. So all right, the winner rankings as they stand now: we have Richard Hatch at number 1, Sandra 1.0 at number 2, Tina 3, Vesepia 4, Ethan 5, Brian Heidick 6, and Jenna Maraska at 7. Amber for me is 47th out of 48. I don't think she's a horrible player. As Drew said, whoever wins deserves to win this game. I just think like the jury was voting against Rob more so, aside from Sheehan. And just like, for me, that's tough. And I do think like they controlled the game together. So maybe Amber should be higher than this a tad bit, but it's just tough when you have such a bitter jury for me.
Yeah, I have her at 42 out of 48. Like, I feel like she didn't do too much active. Like, socially, yes, she was decent, but it was really Rob, and I truly think Rob should have won that. But I get that you have to play to your jury, and he just misread them, thinking that they wouldn't be upset.
I have her 41 out of 48. I have her right above Ben. I enjoy every other time I've watched this season. I've always tried to watch it from Amber's perspective whenever we're actually given Amber's perspective.
Right.
And it's fun because you can tell, what she's doing. That she can tell that people are probably going to hate Rob. Like I feel like it's apparent the more you watch the season that she kind of knows, if I get to the end, these people might be very angry at both of us, but they'll probably be a lot more angry with him than me. And that's that's a tried and true strategy that we've seen happen a lot throughout Survivor history. So she's fine. She's fine. Like, I rarely say bad win, because even number 48, yeah, he got voted out of the game, but like he played a great little 9 days there, and like you have to do what you got to do.
Right. True. Jonathan.
Yeah, Drew, I agree with you. I actually had her at 41 also. I think it was just a matter of like, it wasn't my favorite. I think I was just so kind of like high on the Boston Rob train at that point that was like, he literally just did everything. And then you could just give the typical excuse of like, she just like followed him and did whatever he wanted to do kind of thing. But I think, to go to your point, Drew, she like unintentionally applied the strategy of like, they all hate him and they're not really that mad at me kind of thing. So unintentionally utilizing the strategy of reading your jury and being like, they're really bitter and they're really bitter at him. So there's a chance that I could get the win out of this kind of thing. And it is a strategy and it works. But I think I just kind of, I don't know if there was too much of a perception that she just didn't do anything. And it was literally just like Rob controlling the whole thing. And it just ended up him being, everyone being pissed off at him at the end. So I had her kind of on the bottom tier of the winner rankings, or of my winner rankings.
Who calls Rob her little errand boy? What happened this season?
Yeah, that's Lex, I believe.
Lex, okay.
Yeah. Amber is in last place right now. She is below Jenna Maraska and everybody else, so that is where she will be. I don't think she is going to be the worst winner by the end of the series. So, yeah, that is our top 8 so far. All right, season rankings. Then we'll do our favorite, least favorite, and then how this impacted the evolution of the game. All right. So the seasons as they stand right now: Pearl Islands at number 1, Borneo at 2, Australian Outback at 3, Marquesas at 4, Amazon at 5, Africa at 6, and Thailand in last place at 7. So for me, I have All-Stars 33rd out of 48. I think it's a very important season historically. It's just the negativity and like losing a lot of like the actual favorites really early on just sucks all the air out of the season. Obviously you have the Jenna and Sue quits that just really suck. Just, yeah, I mean, I think, and the bitterness, I think it's 33rd for me out of the seasons because of that. So,
yeah, I have it 29 out of 48, so similar spot for basically the same reasons. Like, I think the reason it's that high is because it's returning players, like just getting to see them all come back with something special. And Rob's dominance, but yeah, it just has this negativity that doesn't make it the most fun on a rewatch, especially that final tribal.
Yeah,
and to see the people we really wanted to see go out early is not so great.
Yeah,
and it's long. It's a really long season.
I think it's the longest season. It's 15 episodes plus the 2 reunions. So,
so you can't have one. Could have 2.
Rupert has to get his $1 million.
Yes,
because then the third finale is the actual wedding where they record. Everyone's invited to the wedding, and they get to sit there and watch. So,
I have All Stars 41 out of 48, right below Survivor 48. Like I said, it's my least favorite all returnee season, and with the exception of South Pacific and Redemption Island, it's my least favorite season that has returnees on them. It's just long and messy, and everyone hates each other. It's like, don't meet your heroes. It's like, well, don't let your heroes buy into their hype that the media, whoever's put on them, and then put them on a show, because they'll just treat each other like shit for 16 episodes and get angry that their friend played them. I think that Sheehan's one of the only, Sheehan, Amber, Rob, I would say are the 3 people that, throw Jenna in there, fine, are only people that like changes their larger Survivor community reputation because of this. And almost everyone else kind of just goes like this, whether because they get voted out pre-merge, which is fine with this season, or because they made the jury and ended up just being horrible people. With the exception of those 4 people, it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm good. So I am excited to have Jenna back now for 50, just to see if that changes again. But yeah, 41 out of 48, and I don't have any new era seasons below this. And so people like to shit on new era, but it ain't worse than All Stars.
All right, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that we're all like sort of on the same page with this. I had it at 38, so it's like it's definitely like a lower tier season. I think I was holding on to some form of nostalgia for it just because of it. It's more of the, again, I unintentionally keep coming back to like, it's the symbolism of the season that matters. And I'm like, I want to get to like a good season that it's like, it doesn't matter the symbolism behind it. It's like, it's actually good. With these some of these earlier seasons, it's really just like, the important thing that it does is it contributes to the evolution of Survivor, not really because the quality's good. It's got all these cool things about it, like first time ever there's 18 people playing. First time ever there's 3 tribes. It's like first time this, first time that. But other than that, it's first time all returning players. But other than that, I still had it low just because of the spirit aspect of the game, and it seemed like people were brought back because of the perception of their character, not because of like they are actually like good players. And so when you bring someone back that's just like a surface level character and they don't actually have any game to them, then you just have a lot of people that are sitting around, like you were saying, Drew, that are just mad at each other and calling each other out. So it's a lot easier for 4 people to just legitimately play and everyone else get mad, kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, All Stars is going to go at 7th. It is right above Thailand. The 2 negative seasons at the bottom.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
If Thailand doesn't end up in last, it's crazy.
Yeah, we'll see how this ends up. All right, let's go to favorite and least favorite player. For me, favorites, I mean, just because the story is about them, I'm going with Boston Rob and Amber. I like, if I was going over overall favorite on the cast, I love Rob Cisternino, but unfortunately he doesn't do well on this season. So yeah, I'll stick with Boston Rob and Amber for my favorite male and female player.
So I'll agree with you on Boston Rob. For me, he just made it semi-enjoyable to watch. For the woman, it's hard because I'm going to say, because she was my favorite coming in and didn't have the best run here, but Tina. Like, there's nobody else does it for me here, so I have to say Tina.
That makes sense. Drew?
Boston Rob and Amber. And my favorite Amber moment I actually alluded to when we kind of started this during the mock tribal council where she's dressed as Tina. Even her little accent.
Yes.
It's like, you a bitch, then bitch. Not voters for you. That's the most animated that we saw her when she wasn't flirting with Rob this season. So yeah,
true.
Rob and Amber. Yeah, I wish I could see Rob Cisternino and Tina. That's but I can't. So
yeah. Jonathan.
Yeah, definitely Boston Rob for the guy. For the girl, I could say Amber. But then now that I look back on it, like I was so very anti Sheehan for so long, but then like rewatching some aspect of this, like I feel for her like a lot more, and she's actually like calling people out on like their gameplay and stuff like that. So I never thought I would be saying this, but just to be different, I'll say Boston Rob and Sheehan, just because Sheehan was like, I originally hated her and now I appreciate her, which is crazy because it's like she makes a lot of good points. It's like you're letting these 2 run the game and you're all stupid people for letting it happen. And they're just like, okay. Like, like
that makes sense. All right, least favorites. Least favorite man, I've said it. I'm going with Big Tom. I think Big Tom is annoying this season, and like the fact like he has so many bad things that he says, like the whole Jenna, if my family got killed in a car accident, don't call me, I'll be there after the show. That's awful. And then him doing the whole Wicked Witch dance after Sue leaves, like he's just awful. And then like the don't be stupid, and just like I don't like Big Tom on here. And then I mean, with the women, I'm sure Kathy's name is probably going to come up. I'm sure there might be a couple other women. I'm going to go with Jenna Lewis, though. I think Jenna's annoying, and like I can respect her game, but also I don't like her targeting the winners and the big players. I don't like, how she treats Sheehan, where she's like, "I'll put a gun in my mouth," and like it just like and she just enables Rob and Amber. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jenna Lewis.
All right. I'm going to go for the guys with Big Tom like you. He just, I don't know, wasn't that likable. And it's not his fault, but it made it unenjoyable just by like how difficult it is to understand him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, that is my pick. And then for the women, there's definitely a few, but I will say Kathy. She was just, there's something like off about her that it was like she made a couple comments. Yeah. Like when she was talking about Jenna's
the cancer,
yeah,
terrible, and then the core of hatred.
The core of hatred with Stu.
Just say Marquesa.
All this season is just core of hatred.
All right, Drew. I'm sure you're going with Kathy for the woman, but
I want to say Alicia, but yeah, it's Kathy. And then for the men, it's Lex. God, just once it's Kathy and Lex, I don't understand how they have such big fans. We go, it's just from the first time they played. It's like, okay, but in All Stars, that like, why are you crying? Why are you both crying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Get in the bed.
Get out of here, Holly. What are you doing?
Jonathan.
For females, it's really easy for me. Jenna, she drove me up a wall the whole season. Like the first time I saw her on Borneo, I was like, okay, she's a little annoying. This season really just drove me crazy. The fact that she was just her enabling Rob and Amber the whole time, and her having like she's doing strategic things, but at the end she's like, I'm just here. You can really tell on her face at some point in the game, she knows that she's like they're in control, but she like doesn't say anything or do anything about it. And I'm like, you have a chance to do something about it, but you didn't do it. And you know it, and you're still not doing it. It just really kind of aggravated me with her in the game. And so she's my least favorite female contestant. For the guys, it's very hard. But I think I will go with Lex as well, as because I really liked Lex in Africa. And then him taking out my boy Colby and then taking out my boy Ethan. And I was like, it was, and that just started, that was to me when the season was, I was, oh crap. Like, once I start seeing all my favorite players get knocked out by one of my favorite players, and then that favorite player get duped, it was just, I'll in this specific case, I'll say Lex. I could have said like maybe Big Tom and Rupert was a buffoon the whole time, but like I couldn't abide the fact that like I hold Lex to a more higher standard than those two, because Lex was one of my favorites, and then he just took out two of my other favorites, and they were all aligned together. It just drove me crazy as well. And then being like, I can't believe Boston Rob would betray my friendship like that. And I mean, like, you voted out your blood brother from Africa, dude. Like, come on. Like, what is like, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to our final question and close this Lawn All-Stars podcast out. How did this season contribute to the evolution of Survivor? I think I referenced it already. I think this revolutionized how like we see power couples, and just like no power couple has been as successful as Boston Rob and Amber. We're literally going to see it as soon as Palau, where like a couple, I think it was like Jeff and Kim in that season, like they immediately get targeted because they're cuddling with each other. And so I think it's that, and just like also revolutionizes like returning players are back for the first time. We get to see people back, and that's going to be a staple of the show, is bringing people back for any purpose, like if they're a captain on a season, or it's a half returnee and new people. So that kind of thing. So that's my reasoning for
Yeah, I think this season also introduced the concept of a bitter jury, and like this is truly the first time when it's like, well, the runner-up should have won. Like, yes, we had that with Colby and Tina, but at least it was more justified. Where here, people are like up in arms about it. So I think that's a big one. I think the level of like cutthroat strategic gameplay was really increased, and that helped move the game forward, because even in Vanuatu, we'll see some new strategies come into play, and it gets a little more strategic than what it was. And also the concept of pre-game relationships for returning player seasons.
For sure. Drew?
Yeah, that's I was gonna say pre-gaming, the metagame becomes it's because everyone buys into their own shit. You know, every returning season we get from now on, whether it's half or a full, there's always going to be people that think, well, you know, last time this person did this, which means even if they didn't pregame beforehand, it's like, well, we have to make sure we got to get rid of Yellman because the last time he played, he did this, and like you, that meta game just it starts here because it's the first returning season, and then the duos, you already brought it up. This is one of the last times that we see an all-powerful alliance basically steamroll their way through the game. But even here, it's like you can start seeing the wheels turn on people like, hey, what if we didn't do that? What if we tried something else instead? You know, it doesn't work here, but like you can see the groundwork for something happening like that moving forward.
Right. Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm to keep it short, I'm just going to copy and paste everything you guys said into like, there's literally, there's nothing else to say. It's like you guys literally said everything. It's evolution-wise, power couple, we see it work for the first time. Never really works ever again after that because there's a huge red warning sign not to or to look out for that. First time there's 18 contestants. First time there's 3 tribes. First time it's all returning players. It's the first season with a theme, and it's not based off of location.
Right.
So it's like, it also pretty cheap because they're just hanging out there in Pearl Islands. So like Rupert just pulled a double shift. We're doing 2 seasons back to back.
Yeah,
so
first year to do that.
Definitely the first for all those reasons and every reason that you guys said. Quality, it maybe looked at low, like on a lower level, but I think significance, it still progresses into the evolution of Survivor.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's the end of All Stars. We made it through the dreariness and the negativity, and now we're almost through Volume 1. We got 2 more seasons of Volume 1 left. Let's head to Vanuatu, the Islands of Fire, next week. More men versus women. We get to talk about Chris Doherty next week, much to Kevin's chagrin. And it will be me with Michael, Austin, and Joe. So join us for that. And so we will see you all next week on the Tribe of Nerds.